Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service.
Cherokee Nation Human Services held a reception on the night before departure of the second Cherokee Nation Warrior Flight to Washington, D.C., where participants were presented with Cherokee Warrior vests and hats.
I have experienced a lot of things in 94 years, but tonight I appreciate what's going on here tonight.
The veterans enjoyed dinner with their families and heard from Chief Bill John Baker, who came by to wish them well and a safe trip.
This is something for you all that we're just tickled to death that we can do. I wish you all good health. I wish you safe travels.
And the home of the brave.
11 veterans departed the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino amidst waving flags and cheers from Cherokee Nation businesses' employees. People lined the street to see them off to the airport where they checked in for the flight.
We'd like to do a little bit, boarding a little bit different today. We have some very special customers on board this aircraft today. We have some veterans from the Korean War and World War II, and we would like to honor them today if we could by letting them board first.
United Airlines greeted the veterans and had them board the plane first. Many of the 11 veterans were going to see for the very first time the granite and marble memorials honoring their service and on display in the nation's capital. After arriving at Dulles International Airport, the veterans hopped a bus that took them to their hotel for the evening before the next day's tour of the memorials.
I am sitting on ready.
The tour guide rendezvoused with the group at the old post office in Washington, D.C., and from there it was on to the Navy Memorial on Pennsylvania Avenue. The plaza is a round, ceremonial amphitheater paved in granite, forming a 100-foot diameter representation of the world. A symbolic statue of a lone sailor stands watch near the edge of the plaza. Navy veteran Deputy Chief S. Joe Crittenden and the other Navy vets had a little photo op.
Our next stop from here, just a few blocks, will be the World War II Memorial.
The World War II Memorial honors the 16 million men and women who served in the armed forces of the U.S., and the more than 400,000 who died, as well as all those who supported the war effort.
Structurally is a perfect example because it's dignified, it's very moving emotionally. This is your memorial.
Our veterans got a chance to have their photos taken under the Oklahoma column of the memorial. At every memorial, it never failed. Someone would stop by and thank the veterans for their service to our country. Most of the veterans walked the path to the Korean War Memorial, and Korean veterans had their photos taken in front of the Freedom Is Not Free monument.
As many of you lived through, in a lot of ways, the Korean conflict was considered by many America's forgotten war. Each one of the faces on all the statues are based upon photographs of fellows who actually served there.
The next item on the agenda was a stop at the Lincoln Memorial.
Here at Lincoln, there are 36 columns. There were 36 states, Union and Confederacy, at the time of our Civil War.
There was time for a short breather, then it was on to the Vietnam Wall.
If you need to find a loved one, you see these little stands here. It's like a phone book, it's alphabetical order.
Navy World War II veteran Valentino Burnett, 88, of Uchi, was stationed at Pearl Harbor during the war. His son, Edward Burnett, was killed in Vietnam. During the trip, he was able to see his son's name on the Vietnam War Memorial. It was one of the things he said he looked forward to the most on this warrior's visit to Washington, D.C.
There's report.
You hold him and I'll go get him. I'll take him.
The 16th line down, Edward D. Burnett.
After dinner, there was an abbreviated night tour, with a few brave souls getting out in the rain to see the Iwo Jima statue, one of the largest bronze statues ever cast. This memorial commemorates all the Marines who have died in battle since 1775. After a long and sometimes rainy day, the veterans were glad to get back to the hotel for some sleep before a visit to the United States Capitol the next morning.
Ready?
Ready.
All right.
The veterans loaded up the bus for a quick tour of the U.S. Capitol and stopped by the crypt and the statue of Sequoia.
If you look straight above, there's a painting on the top. It's called the Apotheosis. It shows George Washington in the middle with 13 maidens around him that symbolize the 13 original colonies.
Thanks for that. No, sir, it's not.
U.S. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma met the veterans at the Capitol and thanked them for defending our country. U.S. Representative Mark Wayne Mullen presented each veteran a challenge coin for their military service.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Finally, everyone loaded up for the ride to the airport and the return flight to Tulsa. Touching down at Tulsa's International Airport, members of the Honored Patriot Guard Riders led the veterans with a motorcycle escort back to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, and family and friends were there to greet the veterans.
The men, I think, thoroughly enjoyed themselves. They told me so. I really appreciate getting to go with them. It's a small token of our gratitude, if you will. Certainly the country owes them a great debt for their service.
The Cherokee Warrior Flight is entirely funded by the Cherokee Nation and is similar to the National Honor Flight organization. With more than 4,000 Cherokee military veterans, the Cherokee Nation is replicating that experience for them. Native Americans serve at a higher rate in the military than any other ethnic group.